Hello class, this is your instructor responding to podcast 3, which was on the debate whether policing is racially biased, and short answer essay 5 about legal cynicism and what could be done about it. First, is policing racially biased? That was the debate motion being debated, and I asked you to put forward some suggestions as to how the losing side might have presented a stronger case. The losing side is the case that was actually arguing for the motion that policing is racially biased, and the debate came out in favor of the other side, saying it is not. Well, some of the things that you pointed out was that the losing side probably emphasized emotion too much over facts, and that is problematic in a debate. And we want to keep in mind that the audiences that attend these debates are, if anything, more left-leaning and probably sympathetic to the notion that policing may be racially biased. But they lost the debate anyway. And so when exposed to the scrutiny of a broad audience, facts will usually trump emotions. And so anyone who is genuinely interested in improving the quality of life through more effective policing should avoid any emotionally charged statements and stick to the facts. It's sometimes not as satisfying as getting emotional, but it's just what we need to do. A couple of you also raised the issue of implicit race bias, that there is in fact research that shows some evidence of this. However, I should point out there's also research that shows evidence to the contrary, that if anything, police are reluctant or more reluctant to use lethal force or to shoot at a black suspect over a white suspect. And there's some links on Moodle that you can read further on this issue. As to some of the research on this issue, whether policing is racially biased, research shows that the use of non-lethal force is in fact greater for black and Hispanic suspects, but only up to a certain point, meaning that after you control for the context of the situation, that there is no major racial bias here either. However, but overall, you do see greater use of non-lethal force, so physical takedowns of suspects who are black and Hispanic over white suspects. When it comes to the use of lethal force, as mentioned in a previous instructor response, research shows that there really is no racial bias. If anything, there's a slight tendency for whites to be shot over blacks, and there's a link to this on Moodle as well. And so we should refrain from making any blanket statements really about policing being racially biased one way or the other. It seems that a police officer's race and the race as a suspect does not have any reliable relationship that can be detected upon careful scrutiny of the data, and that much of police encounters with suspects seems to turn on factors very specific to that situation, how the suspect is reacting, whether or not there are other people around that are heightening the hostility of the situation, and other factors that really have very little to do with race. The second question I posed to you was concerning the article, "We Never Call the Cops Here, and Here's Why," or something like that. That's what the article is titled. And I asked you, well, what can be done about legal cynicism? Because that does seem to be at the core of why people who are at high risk of criminal victimization nevertheless are reluctant to report to the police. Well, in your responses, Several of you said something about building more trusting relationship between police and communities with high crime rates. And along with this may come an increase in police presence in these communities. Well, as the picture in the lower right shows, it probably does not help to further agitate the police and those people on the other side who feel that the police are biased by making such pronouncements and marching in the name of what they think is justified because of perceptions put out by mainstream media. What related research suggests is that rather than less policing, more policing is needed in high crime communities. And this is what is reported by law-abiding citizens who have to live in high crime communities. In Jill Leovey's book, Ghettocide, which is a great book, and you should read that whenever you get the chance, she's a reporter who's covered homicide in the Los Angeles area for years. And this is what she found, corroborating the findings of other research, including the paper on Moodle, that people in high crime areas, regardless of race, provided they're law-abiding citizens, will want more reliable policing, not less. So the notion that there is too much policing in particularly communities of color is a myth. That most law-abiding citizens in these communities who are under the threat of being victimized by other people in their communities often want more policing. It is the criminals that get upset and complain about police presence, perhaps no surprise. So go ahead and check out those links to additional articles on Moodle for further reading. And until next time, bye-bye.